Yai da 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 ya da 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 yai da da yai da 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 ya da da ya da 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 yai da da ya da da ya da 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 yai da da yai da da ya da 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 yai da 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 ya da 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 yai da 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 ya da 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 yai da 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 ya da da yai da da yai da da ya da da yai da ya da yai da Yai dai 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 dai. Shana Tova and Shabbat Shalom. It is so good to see you all here in the sanctuary at 5200 Old Mill Road, and those who are joining us on Zoom. And we are in one of these very special Shabbatot of the year. In that we are still in the high holy day period, but the days of awe have concluded last night with the end of Yom Kippur, and very, very soon we will rejoice the arrival of Sukkot, and after that Simchat Torah, but not yet. So we have this time, the Shabbat in the special time of the year, but it's a resting place. I like to think of this Shabbat. I was earlier today thinking about it as kind of the place where we can get grounded, take a breath after everything that we have been doing over the last 10 days, 11 days now, and begin to look forward into this new year in which we find ourselves. We have the joy of Sukkot and the excitement of Simchat Torah coming, and so I think this is a really very pleasant time of the year, and it's good to be able to share that with each of you. We'll continue on page 128 with our gathering song, Hine Matov, how good it is. Hine Matov Manayim Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Matov Manayim Shevet Achyot Gam Yachad. Hine Matov Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Matov Shevet Achyot Gam Yachad. Hine Matov Manayim Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Matov Manayim Shevet Achyot Gam Yachad. Let us continue now on page 142 with Shalom Alechem. We are saying Shalom, and it's to all of you, and we are saying Shalom to the angels that are arriving to spend this Shabbat of rest with us. Shalom Alechem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barchuni l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedechem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech malchei hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And before we take our next step to enter into Shabbat, I'd like you to take a moment, and I would like you to think to yourself of three blessings that you have discovered in your life over the course of the last 10 days. 3 things that you will take with you from the day of awe into Shabbat and going forward. And may each of us know the joy of the abundant blessings that we have in our life. We will now enter Shabbat with the lighting of the Shabbat candles, and I'm so happy to have Kathy with us here tonight on the bima with me. She will be lighting candles for us, and the blessing, you will find that on page 120.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahad lefnei shel Shabbat.
Amen. Yeah, go ahead.
Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Kathy. We continue now on page 146. Page 146 with Lachadodi, the Shabbat prayer in which we are reminded every time we sing it of the joy that Shabbat represents in our lives. You will find Lachadodi on page 138. And in a moment, we're going to sing, we'll sing Lachadodi. But I wanted to mention an article that I saw today in the Times of Israel. It was a story about Leonard Cohen of blessed memory, our Jewish poet, our Jewish sage of our contemporary world. He in 1973, after the Yom Kippur War broke out, he felt incredibly moved to be in Israel, to be supportive of the people of Israel and the land of Israel in the time of its greatest peril. And we know from history that the peril was very high. And so for a period of a couple of weeks, Leonard Cohen was performing, singing with soldiers all over Israel, particularly in the Negev, at where the fighting was happening. And he wrote a song while he was with the soldiers. And anyway, the story, my recollection kind of stops there, but it was the point of the story was that Leonard Cohen had written particular verses that he sang in a song that later became quite famous. You have to read the story to find out. And then actually in later versions of the song, those verses went missing. And so someone had, a lot of people think about Leonard Cohen, and someone has recently written a book where he actually got to take a look at some of the manuscript, which is literally a notebook that he had with him in the desert, and kind of trace the history of the song. So if you are a fan of Leonard Cohen, it might be worth catching this article on the Times of Israel. Should be pretty easy to find. And I'm talking about Leonard Cohen because we will be singing Lachadodi to the melody of Rabbi Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah. And the version that we sing has been adapted by our own Norm Greenberg. We're going to do verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. Boikala, 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 boikala. Shema v'zachor b'dibur echad, Ishmi'anu el hamiuchad, Adonai echad u'shmo echad, l'shemu tiferet v'litila, lechad odi likrat kala, pnei pnei Shabbat nekabela. Boikala, 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 boikala. Likrat Shabbat lechul v'lecha, ki hi mekor habracha, merosh mikedem nesucha. Sof ma'aseh b'makshvat tchila, lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei pnei Shabbat nekabela. Boikala, 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 boikala. Hitoreri, hitoreri, kiva ore, kumi ori, uri, uri, shir daveri. Kevod Adonai alayich nigla, lechad odi likrat kala, pnei pnei Shabbat nekabela. Boikala, 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 boikala. Please rise and face the door and send out your Shabbat blessings so they can go wherever they are needed most. Boi v'shalom materet bala, gam besimcha uvetzola, toch emunei am segula. Boi kala, boi kala, lechad odi likrat kala, pnei pnei Shabbat nekabela. Boikala, 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 boikala. Let's say hello to those who are joining us via Zoom. And unfortunately, my eyesight is so bad, I cannot read the cue card from here, Samara. Is Rabbi Safran with us? Yeah. All right, Rabbi Safran, we are especially glad to have you with us. And hopefully you are able to get some fresh air and enjoy a little bit of the world outside. We will continue on page 144. Page 144. Please rise for Baruch Hu. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Baruch hu et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai hamevorach, hamevorach leolam vaed, hamevorach, hamevorach leolam vaed. You may be seated. Let us turn to page 149 and read together at the bottom of the page. This is an hour of change. Within it, we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it, we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai hamariv aravim. And with this blessing, we welcome the arrival of night in little tiny increments, starting about this time, at this time of the year. And I think this blessing is the reminder that we cannot escape every time we pray together at night. And that is that night is the beginning, because there was evening and then there was morning in the first day. And I think in many ways, in other parts of our culture, night is a time of danger. And things do happen at night. So there's some reality to that, but there are many prayers of protection at night. The idea that we need comfort in order to feel safe from the perils that we face at night. But this blessing reminds us that night is the Genesis, was the first part of day that ever was created. Let us continue on page 151, and let us read together at the top of the page. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Israel. Please rise as you are able for Shema. Shema Israel, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Please be seated. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavcha v'kol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitztavecha hayom al levavevcha eshinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam Beshivtecha beveitecha uvlechtecha vaderech uveshokbecha uvekumecha ukshartam leot ayadecha vehayu latotafot beinecha uchtavtam hamzuzot beitecha uvisharecha למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתיכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם emet. Let us turn to page 157. And let us read together at the top of the page. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. And now we will turn to page 158, and we will pray Micha Mocha. I'm thinking for just a second. Okay, so Micha Mocha, page 158, a tune I've used before, but not too often. This is how we'll learn it over time. Yai, 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 lai, lai. Yai, lai, lai, yai, lai, lai, lai. Yai, lai, yai, lai, lai, lai. Yai, lai, yai, lai, lai, lai. Micha mocha ba'elim Adonai. Mika mocha neder ba'kodesh. This next part is responsive. Watch. Nora, Nora, tehilot, tehilot, ose, fele. Nora, Nora, tehilot. Together, Ose fele, Malchutacha ra'u v'hanecha, Bokei ayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, Zelianu ve'amru, Zelianu ve'amru, Adonai yimloch Leolam Vaed, Adonai Yimloch Leolam Vaed. Yai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai. We will continue on page 161. Read with me. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. This prayer, this is an interpretation of the prayer Hashkivenu, which is of particular significance to us as we enter the period of Sukkot. So the prayer, the blessing, the bracha, compares God to a shelter of peace, a Sukkat Shalom. And that is the very same sukkah that we will begin to dwell in for periods of time beginning on Monday night. We turn now to page 164, and we will rise in just a second for the Amidah, the Tefillah. And I'd like you to take a moment to reflect on whatever it is that you have to talk over with God. You'll have a moment here during this prayer to do just that. So let's take a moment in silence to prepare. Please rise. Yadadai dai 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 Adonai. Yadadai dai 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 Sfatai tiftach. Yadadai dai 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 Ufi agid. Ufi agid tehilatecha. Yada lai 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 Adonai. Yada lai 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 Sfatai tiftach. Yada dai 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 Ufi agid. Ufi agid tehilatecha. Yada dai 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 Adonai. Yada dai 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 Sfatai tiftach. Yada dai 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 Ufi agid. Ufi agid tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Kol Mel Chasadim Tovim, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכה אתה רב להושיע. מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ולמען אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהלוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, Ha'el HaKadosh. We continue to pray silently. Our service will continue on page 180, and we're a small group here tonight, and I know there's people online as well. So I'm gonna admittedly privilege the folks who are in the room here. I'm going to take a request for Oseh Shalom. Is there a particular Oseh Shalom that you would like us to sing? If you can hum a line or two, I'll. Gotcha, Klepper. All right, we can do that. So let us now pray for peace. Oseh Shalom, Shalom bimromav, Uyaseh Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru Amen. Uyaseh Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Amen. Oseh Shalom, Shalom bimromav, Uyaseh Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Amen. Let us turn now to page 371. And we now pray for the healing of body and mind and spirit of those in our community and those in our hearts. Misha Barak prayer is a prayer that doesn't require a minyan. So we could say it with the smallest number of people, or we can say the prayer by ourselves. But despite the fact that it is not one of those, mandated community required prayers that you have to have 10 people to say in Jewish tradition, I think the power of the Misha Berach, as we practice and as Jews over the last 30 years, 40 years, as they've embraced, rediscovered this prayer and really the healing movement within liberal Jewish life, actually Jewish life writ large across the world. Thank you largely to the work of Debbie Friedman. This prayer has become a communal prayer. And the power in the prayer is the fact that those who are in need of healing are not alone. And when we are together, we are connecting with each other. We are supporting each other in our own healing as we need it, and in the care that we are offering for those who need it. So with that, I will read the list of people who we are caring for, who we are praying for on this Shabbat. And when I finish the list, I will invite you to name anyone in your hearts. Tonight, we pray for healing for Louis Bloom, Ruth Bloom, Andrew Bosell, Pircha Bat Bracha, Adolf Breitman, Adrienne Breitman, Roberta Butts, Todd Craigo, Jeremy Elder, Tobias Enright, Michael Linderman, Renee Marver, Kaylin Nagel, Tom O'Neill, Janet Rosenberg, Debbie Sherray, Gary Smythe, Bobby Williams. And we also pray for let us turn to the middle of page 371 and pray together for healing. Misheberach avotenu mekor habracha limotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach imotenu Mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Oh, the blessing of water. So tonight on this second Shabbat of 5782, after we have finished our very hard work of Yom Kippur, I don't know about you, but I slept like a baby last night, and a little longer in the morning than is my normal practice. It's a lot of work between the fasting and all of it. But what I want to offer something a little different tonight. And this is continuing our work in moving into 5782 and taking advantage of everything that we've learned over the last 10 days. So I'm going to offer a guided meditation that has come to me from my friend, colleague, and campus classmate, Rabbi Julie Bressler, who is in Boston. She's really, really delightful. And she shared this with me, and I want to share it with you. So the first thing to do is to get comfortable wherever you're seated. So make sure, to the extent that you can, in the chair that you have, that your feet are about shoulder width apart, and that your feet, are pressing evenly into the floor. Like try not to favor one leg over the other. Try to relax your knees if the chair allows you to. Your shoulders, try to loosen them up, and just kind of let your arms rest naturally at the sides. Try to, if you have any tension there, try to shake that out. Soften your facial muscles. Sometimes we're in a resting, smiling face, or just me. I find I'm squinting sometimes. My eyesight isn't perfect, and so sometimes I notice, I'm squinting. So whatever it is that is keeping your face from being relaxed, take a minute and just try to relax your face. Notice how your spine is. Sit up to make it as straight as you can, given the way your body is and the chair that you're in. Okay. And now you're situated. What I'd like you to, now this is optional. We're in a small room, we're among friends. If you'd like to close your eyes, if you haven't already done so, to remove other distractions, you might find that helpful. All right. So take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And with each breath that you take, notice any adjustments you might need to make in order to relax and to deepen your posture. In these next breaths, keep breathing, don't just breathe when I tell you. In these next breaths, begin to imagine roots growing from all the different parts of your feet, reaching deep into the ground, right underneath where your feet are, right through the foundation of the temple and all the way down into the ground. Imagine that these roots are pulling your feet down while at the same time supporting you. And see if you can feel them from your toes, your heels, your arches, and the balls of your feet. Check your arms, relax them if any tension has crept in there, and straighten your spine and notice your breath. All right, now I'm going to trust we're as relaxed as we're going to be in this room at this time. So now I'd like you to start to think back over this past year. Let pictures, let images enter and exit your mind. Small moments, meaningful moments, smells, sounds, pictures, and faces. Think back now to last Elul, a year ago, last September. Where were you at the last high holy day cycle? What promises had you made? What goals did you have for the coming year? Now move slowly into winter. The Hebrew month of Kislev, the month that holds Hanukkah, the holiday of lights and miracles. In what ways did you bring light or goodness into the world this year? What miracles happened in your life this year? Now we're going to move from winter into spring, and this time we celebrate Pesach and think about renewal, birth, and newfound freedom. What struggles concluded in your life this year? Were there issues or difficulties in your life that you were able to overcome? Now we're going to move from spring into summer. This wet, humid, hot summer that felt all too short. Where did you find pause this summer? When did you have space to take a breath? What did you appreciate from the past year? And what did you hope to leave behind? And now here we are in the new year, making new promises and setting new goals. So before we do that, take a few minutes, a moment, and deep breaths to remember the journey of the past year. Just notice your breath exactly as it is. You don't need to do anything with it. Just notice that. And with each breath in and each breath out, you're remembering the journey. Now here we are in 5782. Think about your hopes for the year ahead. What was something that weighed on your mind during these high holy days? Was it a hope that you have for the year ahead? Now, let us think about 1 month from now, October into November, September and October, the middle of the fall, the Hebrew month of Tishrei, the holiday of Sukkot, and the time for harvesting. What kind of benefits do you hope to reap this year? Educational? Are there things you want to learn? Experiential? Are there things you want to do? Spiritual? Are there ways you want to be? Let's take a few moments to reflect on those hopes. Now, think about 6 months from now. The Hebrew month of Adar and the ending of winter. During Adar, we celebrate Purim, a festival of fun and revelry. What joy do you hope comes into your life this year? What ways do you want to be silly in the upcoming year? Now think about 9 months from now into the month of Sivan, the month that holds the holiday of Shavuot, the holiday that celebrates our receiving of Torah. Think about learning, the learning that you did, that you hope to do. What new things have you learned this year, and what effect did they have on you? Now, think about how you want to feel next year at the beginning of 5783 at the high holidays. How do you hope to feel spiritually and emotionally? What are you hoping will take place? Place one of these hopes on your heart and let it settle there. Think about one step you can take before next Shabbat to begin to move yourself towards this hope. Hold on to these images as you now become aware once more of your breath and the boundaries of your body. As you take a few deep breaths, become aware of the gentle rise and fall of your chest. Then, whenever you are ready, slowly, gently open your eyes. B'hatzlacha. I wish you good fortune in achieving what you are hoping for in this coming year. Shana Tova. And now we have a few announcements and things that we need to know about. And Kathy will let us know about them.
Much shorter than the last Welcome to the temple. I'd like to highlight a few announcements. Welcome to those of you here in person and those joining us online. Due to recent CDC recommendations, masks are still required while inside temple, regardless of vaccination status. Thank you for your cooperation. If you have not yet received a Brit to sign regarding your COVID vaccination status, please contact the temple office or pick one up in the lobby. Join us tomorrow morning at 9:40 a.m. for our Shabbat service. Please note that Fort for Fitness is happening and the race will impact traffic around the temple. Please give yourself extra time. In lieu of food bags for Wellspring, we are asking for cash donations. These donations can still be made directly to Wellspring via their website or delivered to their offices. On Monday, make sure to come for our Sukkot service at 7:30 p.m., followed by a nosh in the Sukkah. Please note that our congregational dinner for Simchat Torah has been canceled. Thank you to our ushers, temple staff, and our security team. Thank you to Rabbi Meir Barjaron and Ron and Pam Friedman for leading services this weekend. Please check the temple website, your weekly handout, or Facebook page for more information. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you,
Shabbat
Kathy.
Shalom.
So a word about tomorrow morning's services, which will begin at 9:45. So because of the Fort for Fitness race, not only will there be a lot of traffic, but actually the streets that lead to the temple will be not accessible. However, people who have a pass that we distributed last week and is available in the temple tonight. You will need that to be able to get to the service to the building in your car. So if you do not have a pass, tomorrow would be a wonderful time for you to access the services online. And then we should hopefully be back to normal next week. Let us turn now to page 586. Please rise as you are able for Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, latet gedula leyotzer breshit, shelo asanu kegoei haratzot, velo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, vegor aleinu kechol hamonam, va'anachnu korim, umishtachavim umodim, lifnei melech, Malchei Hamlachim Hakadosh Baruch Hu V'nemar V'haya Adonai Lemelech al kol haaretz Bayom hahu Yeh Adonai echad U'shemo Ushemo echad. You may be seated. We have come to the time in our service and we remember those who have died either recently or in this season in years past. I will read from our communal Kaddish list. And when I come to the end of the list, I will invite you to add any names of those who you are remembering this Shabbat. And then we will continue with Mourner's Kaddish, which is on page 598, so that we can remember together. This Shabbat continues the period of Shana, the death within the past year of Ron Subik, Harold Prigozhin, Sarah Lee Levin, Marilyn Salin, Marvin Krell, Jack Rosenberg, Leah Batmanasha Vabaila, Kathy Jarvis, James Lieb, Norman Snow, Paul Schwartz Jr., Joan Kramer, Carol Friedman. This Shabbat is the Yartzeit, the anniversary of death of Herb Albert, Lloyd Amster, Claudine Bartel, Benjamin Becker, Leah Berbitsky, Joe Blumenthal, Blanche Boyles, Louis Israel Breitman, Herman Breitman, Joseph Crystal, Daniel, Terry Derenzago, Clifford Ewing, Rena Farber, Rabbi Eddie Fox, John Gilbert, Louis Goldberg, Ryan Goldstrom, Adolf Greenbaum, Lottie Guttmacher, Rose Kaufman Himmelstein, Frida Hyman, Milton J., Sigmund Marin, Shirley Ruth Konigsberg, Adrienne Kaur, Carol Kranis, Leonid Iskovich Kerner, Sam Landy, Charles Leopold, Howard Levin, Jenny Levititz Lewis, Joseph Lowenhar, Seema Lowenhar, Leah Cohen Malay, Ethel Mansbach, Fanny Marin, Sigmund Marin, Simon Marin, Sidney Motel, Julius Nathan, Robert Newschultz, Barry Pass, Mary Puri, Nat Pollock, William Pollock, Ronald Repka, Benjamin Rosenberg, Henry Schwartz, Faye Slutsky, Masha Soloway, David Spanger, Bruce Stone, Emmanuel Warhauser, Dr. Irvin I. Weinrob, Esther Rose Weinstein, Samuel N. Weinstein, Judith Zala. And to these names we add for all these names and the names in our hearts, the names of those who perished in the Shoah, and the names of all those who have no one to say Kaddish for them, please rise now in solidarity as a community for Kaddish Yatom, the mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, ve'almad ivrach cherutei ve'amlik malchutei, v'chayachon v'yomachon u'chayei dekol beit Israel, bagala uvizman kari v'imru amen. Yehe shmei rabbah mavarach le'olam ulmei almaya, yitbarach v'ishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitnoram v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudisha barichu, le'ela min kol birchata v'yirshirata, tush bechata v'nechamata damiran be'elma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be for a blessing. And now to send us off into our evening, I will offer us a short kiddush. May this be the entryway into perhaps your Shabbos dinner or some special quiet time. With this blessing, we set aside the wine, grape juice, aside so that it can be enjoyed for a sacred purpose. And perhaps we can use this also as we say this prayer for the wine. Also think about what else we are setting aside for special enjoyment this Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen lechaim. Shabbat shalom, everyone. See you Monday night at 7:30 for our Sukkot service.